Hello everyone and welcome back to our 9-month Ultimate World Cruise adventure. And today we're on day 141 and 142 where we're on safari in the amazing country of Sri Lanka.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
And we're living that full life aboard Royal Caribbean's 9-month Ultimate World Cruise on Serenade of the Seas.
Yes, we are. And well, today it's time to pack our bags because we have an overnight that we're leaving the ship for.
Yeah, I've been so excited for this.
I have too.
We're in Sri Lanka, as we said. Now, Sri Lanka is off the southeastern coast of India. It's an island. It is an independent country, and we're docked in Hambato in the southeastern side near the Yala National Park, and we're going to get off there, and then we're going to have our safari, and then we're going to re-meet the ship again in Colombo, Sri Lanka. So, you know, we're going from one side of the country to the other and staying overnight in between those two ports. So that's the plan. And as we said, I've been looking forward to this safari almost for 2 years that we've been planning.
Well, we should see some really neat things, I think.
Well, spoiler alert, we do.
Yes.
We do. So we took a bus. After the ship docked, we all got on a bus, and it took about an hour drive or so. And then we all got off the bus and got in four-wheel drive vehicles into Jeeps. And actually, they're trucks with kind of seats in the bed of the truck, and they're tiered, and it allocated or gave everybody a good view because pretty much everyone was on one side of the vehicle or the other.
But do take note how we get in and out of these vehicles, that unfortunately if you've got mobility issues, this may be a challenge you don't want to take.
Yeah, it was even for us, it was a little challenging getting in and out, climbing up this little ladder, swinging your leg, ducking under the roll cage, and, but I mean, we navigated it okay, and once you're in, it was relatively comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, it was okay. Well, we took those four-wheel drive vehicles to a place that was called the Yari Safari Bungalow's Leopard's Nest, and it was a nice little area out in the bush, and we stopped and got out of the vehicles.
Yeah, they gave us a very nice little musical greeting.
Yeah, you can see that here. Well, that was a lot of fun. It was the dancing and the peacock feathers and everything. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was nice. Yeah. So we went to our tables that were under the bush, kind of semi-shaded, and it was a very hot day once again here.
Yes, it was very, very hot. Yeah.
And they had a buffet that they had set up for us of kind of Indian food, so rice and some curry, spicy food. Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, Sri Lankan food seems to be very similar, at least in this area, similar to other types of Indian food.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we had our lunch, and then we're getting to the exciting part. We got back in our four-wheel drive vehicles into the trucks, and we went to the Yala National Park. So this is a very famous area. A lot of people come here. We had to stop and check in because they do highly control the vehicles that go in and out. It's timed. In fact, they have to be out of the park by 6 p.m. And what we were told is if the tour operators do not leave by 6, they actually get penalized, and they can be banned from the park for certain amounts of time depending on how late they are. So everything is controlled, and including our group had to have a guide go in with the whole group. So not a guide in every vehicle, but with the group, and the guide ended up being in our vehicle,
so
which was very lucky.
That was very nice for us. So actually there were 5 of us then, because there were us and one other couple and then our guide.
Right,
so
right. 5 in our I'm going to say Jeep, but it was really a pickup. And we started on our way. By the way, you can see all the other vehicles. They're all very similar at the check-in point. But once we got in the park, we did pass or run into vehicles, but it wasn't like a nose to tail. You weren't constantly with other vehicles because the park is very large. But there were times you'd come upon another vehicle. Usually if there was some animal or something really neat to see, they'd stop, and they were all in communication with each other. So if they saw elephants somewhere or they saw whatever, they would communicate between the vehicles. vehicles so they all knew where to go.
Right, and an elephant is the first thing we saw even before we got into the park.
Right.
There was one right beside the road that was just wandering around, and that
Whole
was
family.
just something. Well, I'll tell you, friends, too, we took a lot of video throughout all of this. You're going to see quite a bit here, but we're going to include additional clips at the end of the video if you'd like to see all of the things that we saw.
Yeah, we'll put a montage together so you can see all the different animals that we saw in the Yala National Park. But just to give you an idea, we saw elephants, we saw mongoose, we saw ibis, we saw wild boar, wild pigs, we saw crocodiles, we saw monkeys,
peacocks.
Oh, the jungle fowl, which is the national bird of Sri Lanka. We got to, and those are supposedly pretty rare to see.
Water buffalo.
Yeah, the
deer.
one thing we did not get to see was a leopard. The vast majority we did. It was just not, the timing wasn't quite right, and they are difficult to see, but there are leopards there, and so we missed that. We saw a large monitor lizard, but yeah, tons and tons of animals. We just can't say enough.
I know, and then I could have stayed there much longer too, because to me it was just fascinating as you'd see a herd of animals, either the water buffalo or the elephants that are just walking basically right beside you. It was incredible.
And the baby elephants, and just
right up to sweet.
And walked right up to our vehicle.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
right up
sweet.
to it. Yeah. But we did, we spent, I think, a total of about 2.5 hours in the park, and then we had to leave because it was 6 o'clock. The nice thing is we were right there until the sun is setting, and we got some beautiful views and vistas with the sun going down.
That was a good time because they were out eating. I think if we'd have been there earlier in the day, it'd have been too hot. They'd have been kind of bedded down. So that was neat.
Yeah. So we had an amazing time. We cannot recommend the Yala National Park tours enough. If you have any inkling to go to Sri Lanka, which we hope actually after this video you're going to, it was quite amazing. Well, then our Jeeps took us on about a 35-45 minute drive, and they took us out to the beach, actually, to the shoreline on the southern tip of Sri Lanka, and they had a beach barbecue for us.
They did. So another buffet was set up for us, and once again they had music there as well, and once again, it was kind of Indian food.
Yeah. Well, they did have barbecue chicken and some things like that, but it was... Here's the difficult part. We have been traveling all day. It's been, the feels like temperature in the hundreds. And so it's kind of taken it out. And now, dinner wasn't served till after 8:30 at night. And to be honest, we're hot, sticky, and tired. And so, and so it was a wonderful concept, let's put it that way, by the tour operator, and it was a beautiful setting, and they really tried their best. They had torches, and it was really neat out there, but by then I think a lot of us were pretty tired from this adventure, so we ate, we did that, and then we went ahead and we went to our hotel, which we stayed at the Yala Cinnamon Safari Lodge, and this was really
cool.
It was amazing, and again, it's a little slight disappointment that we wish we could have stayed there longer. And you've heard us say this a lot, because the lodge was amazing. It just was. Every little bungalow was individual. It was back in the bush. You really couldn't see one bungalow to another, and you follow these trails to get to them. And but by the time we got there, it was 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and so we didn't really get much of a chance to enjoy it. You can see some of the video inside. To be honest, we didn't keep it very pristine because we got in, and I think the first thing you did was get in the shower because we were so dirty and dusty and sticky. But so you can see a little bit here. Beautiful lodge. And then in the morning, we woke up early because we did have an early departure. We had to be on the bus by 7 a.m., if I remember correctly.
Right. So the first thing we did is we went and had breakfast. They had a buffet breakfast set up for us. Now, I will say this has probably been one of the best buffet breakfasts I have ever had in my life. I am not kidding you.
Jaw-droppingly massive.
Everything. I mean, they had homemade chocolate coconut butter for your bread. They had all kinds of flavored waters, and even like a detox water and cucumber, all
they had Indian
everything.
Food, they had traditional American, they had crepes,
British
they had
food.
British food, they had any kind of nationality or any kind of breakfast food you can think of, all the way down to Cocoa Puffs. I mean, they had everything there, and it was really good.
Right, and even the jack squirrels like to come and
so
join us for breakfast.
It was breakfast and a show because
It
the jack squirrel, he's known there. He was running around, jumping between the tables, and probably just waiting for a little scrap to fall off on the floor.
Right.
You know?
They were trying to entice him out of the area with a banana.
Yeah.
So that's probably why he keeps coming back.
Yeah, that's right. Well, after our breakfast, we went to the top up above the building and got some nice vistas and overviews. It's actually very interesting. There's signs all over in this lodge that say, watch out for the animals.
Crocodiles and leopards.
Yeah, don't go too near the water. But the elephants will just walk through the lodge. And they said, don't approach the elephants, just let them walk through. Obviously, the elephant's going to win that confrontation.
Yes, they would.
But yeah, this is something that it's really quite a shame that we only had the one night because it was... I truly could have stayed there, 3 or 4 days and just really enjoyed the scenery and the place and yeah, just really enjoyed that. But we didn't have that kind of time because the ship is waiting for us on the other side of Sri Lanka. We had to get over there. We got on our bus at 7 o'clock and started heading cross country to get over to Colombo.
Well, as we're returning to the ship, we have one more stop, and they took us to an area where they do stilt fishing. So that was kind of fascinating to see, and you may have even seen it on The Amazing Race if you watch that show like I do. And they will get up on these stilts and actually fish. And the area that they took us to maybe was a little more touristy, and they would let you get up on the stilts and try to fish.
Well,
and
what kind
do
of
that
crazy
for
person
tips.
would do that?
Well, I don't know what kind of crazy... what kind of crazy person would do that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. No, I did that. And remember that, as Nancy just said, they are doing this for tips. In fact, when we pulled up in our buses, there was none of the fishermen out on the stilts. And as soon as the bus pulled up, they all ran from their little hut that was sitting there, their shaded area, and they ran out and got on the stilts. So remember, they are doing this for tips. And so especially if you get up on the stilts, take a picture with them, please, share the generosity and give them a little tip.
Yes.
That is why they do that. So, no, it was fun. It was interesting. I don't think I'd like to sit there for a whole long time and do that. And I didn't get on it I didn't get on it fully. It wasn't horribly uncomfortable, to be honest. I just kind of straddled it a little, whereas they sit sideways on it. It was fine, but it was a neat experience. So I've done stilt fishing,
I'm glad
sort
you
of.
got to do that. Well, we got back on our bus, and lunch was originally scheduled to be a part of the tour, but honestly, friends, we were just running out of time once again that we had to get back to the ship for all aboard, and so we skipped lunch and just continued heading to the ship and had some lunch in the Windjammer.
Which, from the Windjammer, we saw quite a storm.
With the storm coming in, and in fact, they closed everything down outside. They were telling people to stay off your balconies. It was quite a lightning storm, and in fact, this was probably the biggest storm we have been in
on the ship.
Since we started the world cruise, and we're just docked there in port. It passed relatively quickly, but boy, the lightning was spectacular.
It was it was shaking the ship with the big thunder booms and the lightning, and yeah, quite spectacular. Yes, it was. Well, after that lightning show that we had to get some rest because we have a huge adventure coming up. But before we tell you about that, we want to ask you to hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss the next thing that's coming up as we are moving around the world. We're going to the Taj Mahal, and you're not going to want to miss that. Well,
that's right.
Nancy, Sri Lanka.
Yeah, would you come back?
Absolutely. Yes. 100%. No question.
That safari was amazing. And I would do the safari again because it was that amazing. It really was.
Yeah, no, I don't think it compares to, the big 5 African safaris, some of the things you see there. And we are now heading to Africa, as everyone, all our viewers probably know. But I think Sri Lanka just had so much to offer we didn't get to see. We pretty much saw the Yala National Park, and that was it. And the safari lodges were just amazing.
Just so cool.
Yeah, I could stay there 2 or 3 days. Beautiful pools, vistas. I could come back there. And so if you were going in that general vicinity of the world, like India or something, Sri Lanka would be a great place to visit.
I agree.
And there's so much more to see there that we missed. So I couldn't recommend that enough. Well, as we said, we're getting ready for our trip to the Taj Mahal. We'll be off the ship for 2 days, and you get to see the absolute whirlwind trip. This one is a little crazy, and you'll see what happens to us there as we get trapped in the Indian train system. So
all right, friends, thanks for being with us. We will see you again very soon. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.